Critical Blast, where pop culture gets blasted.
And good evening, everybody. I am RJ Carter here at criticalblast.com, and it's time for yet another live stream to talk to one of you crazy people out there who are trying to make your own comic book. And don't get me wrong, we love you because we love comic books here at Critical Blast. And with us tonight, we have David Freed with his book, Red Eyes. David, how are you doing tonight, early morning where you're at?
Fine, thank you. It's 2 in the morning, but it's fine. It's all good. Hey, that intro is awesome. It looks pretty cool with the
thank you.
blast.
That's I paid somebody, so I can do very little on my own except talk, and I stumble doing that. Now, if you're coming into the chat, be aware that the link should be in the description below. If I fail to do that, I will add it when this video gets saved and we come out of it. But just in case, we have put the link in the chat over here to the Indiegogo. We encourage you to check that out so you can see what we're talking about tonight. And it's time for me to learn what we're talking about tonight. I love coming into these things cold. That way I don't get bored answering questions, getting answers that I already know. This is all going to be as fresh to me as it is to all of you. So we'll start with the very, very basic, which is, what are the red eyes?
So to be completely honest, the name Red Eyes came kind of like a last spur of the moment, I think you call it. So I had another
spur of the moment.
Spur of the moment. Yeah, I had another story called Redshift Express, and then I was moved on to do this one on Indiegogo. I was like Red Eyes, and then I kind of retroactively changed a few details of the story to fit it in. So right now, Red Eyes is it's like a double entendre, I think you also call it, because it's a fantasy story. So whenever someone casts a spell, their eyes go red. That's the one thing. And the other thing is that there's a MacGuffin, as you would expect of a fantasy story, world-ending MacGuffin. And that has some, how do you say, icons and runes grafted into this object, and they look like a red eye.
Ah, okay. So there's two different kinds of red eyes going on here.
Exactly. And of course,
and the rune.
Exactly. And I just thought it sounds cool, like red eyes.
It absolutely does. I mean, it's here in America, there's a couple of different meanings for it. Like if we're going to take a very late night flight, like 2 in the morning, somewhere, we expect to be tired on it. We call it the red eye because everybody on it's going to be, we're tired and our eyes are dry. And of course, then there's literally the red eyes. I'm sitting here thinking, gosh, if this is a superhero named Red Eyes, is his, arch nemesis Ben Stein with some clear eyes and, take the red out.
Yeah, I thought that maybe people are gonna think, oh, maybe this has something to do with marijuana, or maybe this has something to do with being absolutely drunk.
That causes it too, but it's more symbolic. So who are the characters then that we would be running into in this world? And if you want to show a screen share, that'd be great. We can put that up there and you can point to them as we're going.
Let me get this going. All right, so screen share, application. Here I am. Let me see where I am.
And we have Frog G and BAP2 in the chat. We welcome you all back. BAP2, good to see you here again.
Can you? Oh, there you go. So this is the campaign, and we go down. We'll see the lovely cover. So Red Eyes is the story about 9 insurgent fighters who are on a desperate mission of survival, a desperate mission to save their land. And the protagonist is this lovely dude in the middle. He is the son of the general, the son of the main leader of this insurrection. And he is, or used to be, a spoiled rich brat. And he, screwed up, one too many times, and he is finally sentenced to death. But Daddy doesn't want that to happen, so he saves him and says, "Okay, son, you're gonna have to go on this very special mission." And in the vein of, if you manage to survive the mission, you'll regain your honor, and if you die, you'll die for the glory of the insurrection, more or less. And the
It's
guy
a
on
suicide mission.
it's basically a suicide mission, yes. And the guy on top, that's the mentor. That's the Obi-Wan Kenobi of the story. I always think of this story as one of the movies that inspired me a lot was The Dirty Dozen, and he would be the Lee Marvin of this world.
Oh, that's a classic callback.
Yeah, no, I love that movie. It was pretty cool, and it's goes a little bit along the same how do you say, tropes, or the same
Sure.
directions.
And the Dirty Dozen. I think that goes. I'm thinking of Magnificent Seven. I was going to say it goes back to Seven Samurai. I don't think the Dirty Dozen does that, but.
No.
But yeah, the whole criminals being employed to do something good because we don't care if you die.
Exactly. So that's kind of one of the points of the story, that each of the 9 heroes, they have their own reasons to be in this mission. Some of them are forced into the mission. Some of them are, they're just too old and they just want, okay, I just want to die in the glory of battle or what have you. And some of them don't know that this is going to be a suicide mission. And for the hero, also for the guy in the middle, Mr. Farron, he is basically drafted into this, as in either you are, sentenced to death, or you go to this mission.
Now I'm seeing two giant tigers in there as well.
They are also part of the insurrection. So one of the things is that when I read fantasy stories, they usually go through the same. As one, they go through the same tropes, and two, they almost have the same exact fantasy races. They always have orcs and trolls and dragons. So I was like, no, that's kind of, also I found it kind of boring. So I was like, I say, I'm gonna do my own races and my own monsters and my own creepy creatures. So instead of having like a very I don't even know how to call it, look, anime cat girls, it's like, no, we have giant raging cats that look like like cats standing on 2 feet and fighting and duking it out with giant swords.
What it reminds me of, and I don't know if you read, there was a series. Gosh, it was almost 20 years ago now. I've read a lot. I'm very old, but it was called Cry of the Ice Mark, and it was basically Northern Europe taking on the Roman legions, but it was an entire fantasy setting. It was just, you could tell that the bad guys were Romans because they were like General Bellissimo, and it was all these Latin names, and then of course there were all the Nordic names. But north of them, like when you got into the ice caps, there was a race of these snow leopards, and they were walking snow leopards with rippling muscles and swords and such. And then further north from there, you got into the darker ice regions where the vampires lived. So,
wow, that sounds amazing. Actually, what's the name of that story?
Cry of the Ice Mark.
Cry of the Ice Mark. It was a really good
series. It was like 3 books, and
okay. Yeah, that sounds pretty. One of the stories that also inspired me a lot, that it's not really famous, but it did inspire me anyway, is a fantasy series called the War of the Dragon Crown, or something in the vein of that, which is by a guy called what's his, Stackpole, something A. Stackpole.
Oh yeah, Michael A. Stackpole.
Yes, Michael A. Stackpole. He created this fantasy world where everything is more or less, so there's dragons. That's the only thing that is typical of fantasy. But all the other races, they are all created. They're like different, significantly different than your average fantasy. And I found it so cool that he went through this trouble, and I try to do the same. Like he has these like Jetis. Sorry.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. As I speaking of dragons, it looks like you have one on the cover there in the background of some sort.
That's our lovely Monster Girl. As a code name, Monster Girl. She's a shapeshifter that turns into this giant skull-faced monster. For
Okay, so she's one of the main characters. I thought that was like one of the evils they were going to fight, and it was coming up from behind them.
no, that's one of the bad guys. That you got that right.
Okay.
It's a girl. It's a shapeshifter, and she transforms into this giant monster, and to fight the heroes of the story.
God, she is frightening to death. I hope your Indiegogo is up and running, because I did not take a peek, but you just made a sale here.
Did I? Oh my goodness! Thank you very much, Mr. BAP2. Yeah, that's true. I also have this. I've heard, Ya Boy. I don't know if you know who Ya Boy Zach is.
Boy Zach. Yeah,
oh, okay, so of course. So he usually talks a lot about how he loves Conan the Barbarian, but how he wants to do something original, and I feel like he is, and many people are having troubles with the fact that we love fantasy, would like something original, but it's sometimes not as successful as fantasy stories that have a known name like Conan the Barbarian, stuff like that.
Sure. I mean, we want to do something different, but we do the things that have done before because they're proven successful. Everything else is a risk.
Yeah. No, and I think many people have the same when it comes to buying. Like you see a comic book that is original, and you're like, but you see Conan the Barbarian. Oh, okay, I know Conan the Barbarian. So it's a struggle with creating something original, I think.
Now, this is a very cool picture here. This, what kind of coloring technique are you using? Because it's a very kind of almost like a watercolor look to it.
That's so the colorist. Her name is Frederica Valova. She's from Slovakia, and yeah, she has a very, very special style. I mean, I believe it's digital. As far as I know, it is.
Okay.
But I really like it. Like the shadows of the leaves on the bird and the effects on the water. Like, yeah, she really nailed it. There's the other thing, like this, in the world of Red Eyes, there are no horses. Also, the animals are not, the typical animals. So instead of horses, they use giant cocks, if you like. Giant birds, let's call them.
I was thinking Baba Yaga there for a minute, because it looked like a giant chicken.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, maybe something like. But this would be like the horses in this universe. They all use these birds for transportation.
Okay. Do they fly, or are they sort of ground-based birds?
They're ground-based. It's like a giant chicken, basically.
Okay.
They just run very fast, and they are more tough, and they're basically a horse. Everything you could do with a horse, you could do with this, but they don't fly. No, that's the other thing.
Okay. So we've got a world here where we have a girl who turns into an amorphous monster like I've never seen before. We have people riding giant chickens, and we have tiger men running around. Folks, if you're not hitting the link to this in the description to go out there and back Red Eyes, I don't know what more we can tell you. We're going to tell you a lot more. We got a good amount of time to fill yet, but my God, what more do you need? This is not something you're going to go out and find anything similar to it from Marvel or DC or any of the other big players. No one's doing this.
Oh, thank you. That's a very kind words.
I'm turning on my QVC mode now.
QVC? What's that? I don't.
I'm sorry. I'm going to make a lot of Americanisms. QVC is one of the hundreds of digital television channels here, and it's nothing but shopping. It's.
Oh, okay. I
see what you turn it on, and it's like they spend 15 minutes talking about a diamond bracelet, and you watch the counter go up, and then they move on to cans of corn or something. It's just.
Okay, got it. I see what you mean. Yeah. So this is a monster girl transforming into the snake thing and attacking the heroes. This is like the first pages. Like the page progression. Here's like something like you would see on a, I guess, X-Men comic, where you see the hero.
It reminds me a lot of that Days of Future Past cover.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that movie, so I don't know.
Well, no, there's a classic X-Men comic book cover, um,
Hmm.
and the story was Days of Future Past, and it's Wolverine and Kitty Pryde in the front, and then behind them there are these wanted posters of all the other X-Men,
Oh, okay, okay.
marking
Yeah, I
them as
think it's.
deceased or missing.
Oh, yes, I know which image you mean. Yeah, this is something similar. So the obviously the heroes, they're insurgents, so they are sought after, and I thought it'd be a cool idea to show them on the first page with a little bit of a wanted sign, and below. Also, the lettering is being done. This page is already lettered, but I haven't placed it on the Indiegogo. And so you have their
Okay.
names, you have a little bit of their powers, and you also have why they are sought after, and this also reveals a little bit about what these characters do, you know. Like some of them are the thieves, some of them are the demolition experts, some of them are fighters, and some of them are, you know, like crazy murderers, basically.
Right. Nothing wrong with that when you gotta be in a war. Now,
Yeah,
Lugger
of
in the
course,
chat
no,
is asking. Lugger wants to know if anybody's woke.
no. Oh my God, no. I mean, awake, yes, I'm super awake, but not woke.
Super awake but not woke. I
No, no,
mean,
no,
Monster
hell no.
Girl looks like she's running around naked all the time, so that's
Oh yes, yes, that's. So I thought,
it
like, you
makes
know, if
sense.
yes, exactly. If you transform into a giant something, like, what's the point of, you know, wearing clothes? They would get all destroyed.
Yeah, all the shape changers in comic books. I always wonder, where do your clothes go? Uh,
Yeah, yeah. Also, like, either the clothes are part of them, and they, you know, when they transform into that, they transform also clothes, if you like, or just their skin that looks like clothes. I don't know,
so
but
so remember that next time you're reading Justice League, that Martian Manhunter is actually naked.
yeah, right now he's supposed to be naked all the time. So yes, so for disclaimer, this book is rated R, or will be rated R. So it's not necessarily for kids. It's a more mature story. So there's going to be some violence and some, you know, chicks running naked, as you can see.
We're all for that. That is a gorgeously lush swamp picture. Now, if you scroll down and up, the color style changes a little bit. Um, the blue one, there we go, above there. See, do you see what I'm talking about? That one looks a little bit more
Yes, yes,
flat
yes.
in the comic style, and then the other one is more of a painterly style. Is it that way in the final, or does it just kind of go back and forth?
So the idea, what you're looking at right there, is a spread page, and is this one is done entirely by the colorist. All the art in the book is done by one guy. His name is Gulicelli, and he's the artist for the covers and everything. And how do you say? This is just, I thought, for a spread page to have something,
It's a
you know,
pinup.
more unique. Yeah. So this was done entirely by the colorist. And so yes, it is a little bit different. No? It has this more painterly style, where the other has more of a, I don't know, comic graphic
Yeah,
novel
more like a
style.
comic book.
Exactly. So this is just a spread page, and then the story will move on in the style as before.
Awesome. Very, very nice. Keep that colorist.
Added the free ship. Oh yes, yes. So if we go to the tiers, I say that the shipping for Switzerland and the United States is included. So since
Okay.
we are in Switzerland, also I'm in Switzerland, and so we thought, okay, let's do it like that. That in the States, because obviously most of the people in Comicsgate are in the States, the shipping is included.
All right.
And unfortunately, yes, the international shipping costs are crazy. And the problem is that when I opened the campaign, I was like, okay, where do I put them? And at some point, people were already claiming it, so I cannot change that. How do you say that price, that cost?
Sure.
What we decided to do is that anyone who's backing the campaign internationally, they get a special book included, which is our, I call it Sexy Monster Girl Bestiary.
Okay.
which is sort of a lexicon like the ones you would find for Pathfinder or Dungeons and Dragons, but
all right.
with the monsters of Red Eyes and with the sexy pinups for the monsters.
Now, this is that featured tier is. I'm assuming that's the one that not translates, but converts to $40 United States, $40 US dollars.
Yes, also 45 francs, that's around 45 US dollars. It's more or less 1-to-1 at the moment.
Okay.
I think. And so, yeah, we have this. Also, the feature perk is the Comic Plus Ashcan. The Ashcan is like a preview of issue number 2, and the Sexy Monster Girl Bestiary, which is like our official monster manual, if you like, of Red Eyes.
That's three books for a very good price. I mean, usually you pay like $25 for one book. So here you're getting 3 of them for 40 to 45. Depending on what day you order, because you know the rates they change.
Oh yes, exactly. And so the normal would be $20 for the Comic Plus the Ashcan, and this is also like, you know, shipping included in the USA and Switzerland. Now, if you buy the Comic Plus Ashcan and you are an international backer, we'll send you the Monster Girl Bestiary included, you know, to compensate the fee of the shipping. And if you're an international backer who buys the featured perk, you already get the bestiary. So we're going to include like a high quality print to, you know, compensate a little bit the costs.
Now let's talk about the individual books one at a time here, so we can get an idea for the heft of each of them, so to speak. How many pages are we talking about for the main book?
The main book is going to be 46 pages, and
wow.
Right now we have 40 story pages, to be, you know, absolutely exact. So it's 40 story pages plus some extras, fan art, or, you know, pages of the bestiary, so forth and so on. And
I mean, I love a first issue that is a thick first issue. We talked about this last night with the guys from Confederate Monster, how, you know, first issues should always be bigger than the rest of the issues to really give you a hefty bite of what's coming up.
So this is like,
the story is great.
This is the 40 pages and some of the progress on the coloring, at least until that one day when I did this update. And so the art in black and white is done. And the story is done, obviously, and the colors and the letters are coming in, and I'm updating them as more or less as they come.
Excellent. So what time frame do you think you'll be, you know, when does this campaign end? I didn't even look at the top to see how far you were into it.
We're on demand, we are on demand right now, yes.
Okay.
And
I can see now it looks like you're shipping in October.
Exactly. If everything goes well, it's going to be late October, beginning of November. And then we plan to, you know, like open episode 2 as soon as we're finished fulfilling episode 1, we would love to, you know, if everything's fine, open the episode 2.
Yeah, I'll definitely jump right into the second issue, because it looks like, you know, you've successfully funded this thing. Everything now is just, you know, hitting stretch goals, and we'll talk about those in a minute, if there are any and what they are. The bestiary, the sexy monster girl bestiary. What kind of a book is that? I mean, you explained what's in it, but how big is that? Is it just like a little pamphlet, or is it a book in its own right?
So it's going to be 60 pages, square bound. Square bound.
Stop.
Yep.
Stop.
Yes.
60 pages square bound, and that's the add-on?
So far, yes. Also, the add-on, it's a feature perk, no?
You guys got a deal if you jumped in on that. I mean, I'm sitting here looking at $48, you know, for 3 books, and the first one's 45 pages. That's really good. But to get a 60-page square-bound book in addition to that, that's an awesome deal.
Oh, I hope so. Yes, we're making a huge effort with this little bad boy here, and also the Ashcan obviously is an Ashcan. No, it's not like it's 15 pages and it's black and
Oh
white.
yeah,
It's not
you'd
nothing
expect that. That's the ash can. So that's why it's called an
exactly.
ash can. It's something you threw away and you pulled that out of the trash.
I hope
That's,
people.
that's what they were called that for.
Yes, yes,
Back in the
I heard
golden
something
age.
like that.
Yeah.
But obviously, if you're asking a little bit more money with the bestiary, you say, okay, now let's provide something more hefty and also more beefy, meaty, more thick. I don't know how you say that. And obviously, the idea is also that with this lexicon, with this bestiary, this is something that we're going to be able to use in the campaign 2 or campaign 3 because it's like a monster manual. No, you don't change them
Yeah.
every so often.
Oh. David, you need to get with a partner on this and make this a role-playing game.
That would be an awesome idea. As you can see, I already started, like putting some sort of the stats and the idea behind. No, so I'm polishing the how do you say the idea of how this game would or could look like, no, with tiles and the distance and the range of the attacks and their HP and so forth and so on.
Yeah, you don't even have to worry about the basics of the mechanics of the game because there's a bunch of games out there that are already engines for this. You just get with like Dice Geeks and people like that who just all they do is they put out tables, books of tables to play with any game you want. Here's your randomizing tables. You've got a monster manual that you should be able to translate that and transfer it to any role-playing game system that's out there.
What's the name of the guys you said? Dice and Geeks?
Dice Geeks.
Dice Geeks. Okay, I'll check them out. Thank you. Yeah, that sounds good. So the idea is that for this universe, so one of the things is that I studied biology, and in my biology days I was obviously drawing and writing, and so I was also creating this different species and also writing how they would work on a biological level, like how do they reproduce, how do they grow, how do they so forth and so on, no? And then when I was on the campaign I was like, hey, I should put that to some use. If I already have all these creatures written down, let's do something with them. And now the idea to spice it up is to create this manual but with sexy monsters instead of just like regular monsters.
Oh yeah, we know it sells.
Yes, of course, that's the thing. I don't know if you know this guy called Golden Raging Eagle.
I've heard the name. I have not talked with him. I have not looked at his project, but I know everybody's talking about his work.
Yeah, he also has a fantasy book, more of in a anime style, manga style. And he was talking about doing a sexy monster girl bestiary, and I thought, hey, that idea sounds awesome. So let's do that. It's only my campaign is a little bit more how do you say, in the vein of European fantasy graphic novels, and his is more in the anime style of comics. So this is just so the last update is the 2 more pages that we added recently, and we just finished coloring. And these pages were done because, to explain a little bit more of the lore and what happens before the story begins. No? So we see like the villains and what the hell happens to them because they were using too much of this corrupt magic, and how the story starts and what kicks the story into action. And
so they've
also
got a supply of something that is their magic.
Yes, exactly. So this is also a drawn-in tier. So we only had one drawn-in tier, and this is the winner, our lovely supporter backer who got that. He wanted his likeness to be in the comic, so he's now one of the main antagonists, and he's providing something for the guy we'll see later in the story.
Very nice.
Blade Devil,
this
yes.
Drawn-in tier is very it's very popular to get drawn into the comic, and you can do that when you're doing a crowdfunding thing like this. it's a nice perk. I do. It's time for the shameless self promotion plugs in the middle of our stream here. But
Sure.
in
Yes.
addition to Critical Blast, I am also I work for somebody else. I'm the author of the Destroyer novels. That'd be Remo Williams, the Destroyer. There was a movie in the 1980s called Remo Williams: The Adventure Begins, and he's basically an American assassin in the employ of a spy agency. Uh, and I always kill one of my best friends in chapter one. I just, somebody's got to die to kick off the story, and I just, look to my buddy and say, "Your turn. How do you want to go out?"
Yeah. But I think that's awesome when like people are really excited about, like getting drawn in and also like, yeah, and then dying in some horrible or very original fashion.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about coming back. What I should do is put my friends in there and make them recurring characters. That way they have to buy all the books. They don't just buy the one that they're in.
Yeah.
But speaking of books, Critical Blast is also a publishing house. We started off as a website to do reviews, then we got into this YouTube channel thing, and then we started doing publishing. So I want to let everybody in the chat know that in the description, right after the link to Red Eyes, which you should hit first because this is David's show, back Red Eyes. And then if you want to help the channel out, visit our website. The ads will pay for the trip for you, so you don't have to do anything out of pocket. If you like having things in your hands, then check out our Amazon links for our latest anthology, The Devil You Know, which is a collection of short stories, 370 pages for $17.99. At Amazon, you got 20 authors, all up and coming names, talking, delivering stories about Old Scratch and meetings with the devil. And if you'd rather stay with superheroes, then go pick up this hardcover. I'm knocking on it so you can tell that it's hardcover. Bulletproof Origins by Stephen J. Mitchell. This is a young adult superhero novel. It's not a graphic novel. It's, it's a real book, as the teachers would say when I was in grade school. And it's very much in the vein of the old Spider-Man books. Cody Haywood wakes up on his 16th birthday to find out he is bulletproof. And since he lives in a world of superheroes, he's going to set out and become one. Unfortunately, Cody has the attention of a ferret who's gotten into the pixie stick supply, and he's all over the place mentally and emotionally. So his friends are always there to help keep him focused and on track, which he needs because there are terrorists who would really like to take him apart and find out what makes him bulletproof so that they could have that as well.
Okay,
that's also
that's
available on
interesting.
Amazon. And that ends the Critical Blast shilling. We're going to go back to our regularly scheduled program and talk with David Freed some more about Red Eyes.
About your bulletproof book, so that's a book, also it's not a comic.
No, this Bulletproof is a book. It is. I want to do a comic, but I cannot even draw stick figures. So this is
I know what
pages.
you mean.
I'm horrible at it. Now, I actually tried once, and this goes back about 15 to 20 years. A guy wanted to do independent comic book publishing. It was before crowdfunding. We had internet. We didn't have crowdfunding yet. It was a new technique. And I said, okay, well, I'll be happy to write something and you just pay me on spec. And I wrote 6 issues of something called Hero Club, which was all about how, it was the 90s. So every time a young group of heroes came up, well, guess what? Some government institution or some private entity said, we're taking you in here. We're going to train you how to use your powers. I'm like, they're teenagers. They haven't been in school yet. And if that happens every time a teenager gets powers, there's going to be nobody left in public school. So in my world, I said, well, the public schools have to respond to this. They have to offer something to keep superpowered teenagers in school. Some sort of extracurricular activity that helps them cope with their superpowers and still teaches them math and science.
Okay.
So I had this Hero Club thing. Unfortunately, and this is something I talk with crowdfunding people a lot. People who write comics but can't draw them, they have to hire an artist, and the artists even then wanted paid up front. for the
Yeah.
work they do, not afterwards. And we had a terrific artist who did some sketches, did some character concept designs. They looked exactly like they did in my head. And I was like, yes, take this guy, go with him. And publisher said, go forth and start drawing. And the artist said, send me money. And publisher said, we're not doing comics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so and it just fell apart right there. So that was, I wrote 3 issues of a 6-issue arc, and I don't think I would do it again. I've got other stories I would translate into comics if I had an artist who wanted to work with me, but right now I don't. So I'm just kind of letting them languish and talking about other people's comics.
But yeah, no, it's a thing on its own. Yeah, I know what you mean in the sense that I don't know how to. Also, I love to draw, but I cannot draw like this. So obviously, I need someone else, and you can tell them, yeah, like later on, if success, this and that, and it's like, yeah, sorry, no, I cannot. They're also in this whole Corona thing, and we're all in the same boat, but this is what they make their living. So you gotta pay them, no? And for me, it was like I started this project like maybe more than 2 years ago, and I had to save up to be able to pay an artist.
Sure.
And
Yeah,
what
that's the thing. I mean, if you see a campaign and it's got, say, a $5,000 US dollar goal for it, and it hits it, what people donating to it and contributing to the campaign don't realize is that that's probably the break-even point. The writer did not just make $5,000. He just finally got back the $5,000 that he paid a good artist a good page rate to produce.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, I think that, like with most businesses, no, the first year, the first issue, the first whatever is you have to count with the loss. Also, obviously, even if your campaign is successful, no, you're gonna be at a little bit at a loss, unless you're like insanely successful. Then of course you already start making some money, no? And
ideally, you'd love to make enough to pay the artist for the next book and still have something left over, so that you can start cycling your profits into the production.
Exactly.
And
But
not pay for it out of your own pocket.
I think the reality is that for most people, it's like a slow, how do you say, a slow. It rises slowly.
Yes.
It's only a few that really hit the nail of the time of the zeitgeist, I think you call it, that really go into the millions.
So rising slowly is okay as long as you keep that momentum going, so that it doesn't.
Yeah, and that's also I thought that like come October when we fulfill, like I have to go with episode 2. Like don't go into a different project. Don't go into take your time. Like no. It's like we fulfill, we move on to episode 2. That's it. That's like the only chance for success we'll have.
Yeah, because you'll have episode 2 up there right about the same time that everybody's tweeting out, hey, I got Red Eyes episode 1 in the mail today. So you have incredible fulfillment. You have people advertising the name for you already, and you have a second one ready to go when people start looking for it.
Exactly. That's also one of the reasons why we thought of, okay, let's do the Ashcan. That's like a preview of issue 2, like 15 pages of the beginning or the best action pages of issue 2 to entice people to go on to support the next campaign, obviously. All right, so
Matt, you didn't miss anything except me shilling the stuff for Critical Blast, so we're all good. Except that you might have missed the fact that the add-on book, the Sexy Monster Girl book, is 60-page square bound. So you're getting that in addition to your 45-page story plus pinups in the other book for the $45 that you threw into the campaign. So you just got one monster of a deal here.
Yeah, yes. So what else can we say about the book? Yeah. Let me open this.
Now, so the Red Eyes are the people who use magic. Are the protagonists of the story magic users, or are they fighting the people who use the magic?
So in this world, basically everyone can use it. Whereas let's go here. So basically, everyone can use it. It's like a I don't know, it's like a skill that anyone could theoretically learn. Like, I don't know, playing the piano. Like, everyone can learn to play the piano. Something similar happens with magic, but not everyone is, like taking their time to do this. It's like a very arduous job, basically. And so some of them are more like they go into physical. So like the cats, they're the fighters. They don't know a lot about magic, or they barely know anything about magic. So it's and some of the others are more like in tune with that, and so they study hard. They study hard to become magic casters, and then obviously they're not very good at fighting. So it's like even the hero it's very balanced in the sense that if someone goes really deep into one aspect, they cannot really, as in reality, basically, you cannot be like an expert marksman and an expert like sword fighting and also an expert pianist or so forth and so on.
Sure, normally you can't, but then again, we always have the savants who become crazy good at everything, and we have superheroes that take on that, but we do have some people in real life who are just naturally prodigies at stuff. Do you have any characters like that? And God help them if they're on the bad guys' side, because they would be really hard to defeat.
No, I think that most of them are how do you say? Not based on reality, but more like. Also, let's say the guy in the middle, he's a fighter. He's a really good fighter, but he doesn't know much about that. That's what I thought this was going to be, like more of a team where they complement each other. So the guy on the left, the guy with the somewhat old looking guy, he's more of a magician. So he's not really good at fighting. So he relies more on the cats to do the fighting and protect him while he's casting his magic spell. The girl with a shotgun, she's a shooter, so she's really good at shooting, but she's not really good at fighting. And so the others, they kind of protect her, and then she shoots the bad guys from a distance, and so forth and so on. And
it's very cool to see a shotgun in there, because I didn't notice that before, but it's very anachronistic. You have all these sword and sorcery kind of armaments, and then all of a sudden, shotgun. Wait, where'd that come from?
So the idea of the red eyes is also this. Is this one of the first slogan I had? This is like Conan the Barbarian, but with guns. So it's a fantasy world, but they already, like the Industrial Revolution has already happened a short time before the story began. So they have some very rudimentary machines, but they already have, like rifles and revolvers. They don't have, like machine guns, let's say, but they have long one-shooters, I think they call them.
Magic fantasy steampunk.
Yeah, something like that. Not extremely steampunk, like there are no trains and like steamboats, but they have, weapons like that. Cannons, maybe. The more expert industrial nations, they may already have cannons. And so the story, the first season happens in more of a magical based land. So they have few weapons, but they have a lot of magic, and they have a lot of, swords, as you respect, swords and sorcery.
Now, this first issue, is that 45 pages? Is it a cliffhanger chapter that launches into the second one, or is it more self-contained?
No, this would be more of a one out of probably 6 or 7. And it does end up in a little bit of a cliffhanger. Also, nothing crazy, but, like in the middle of a battle or in the middle of someone about to die, but it does a little bit of a cliffhanger. No, they resolve certain issues, and certain issues are beginning to open up.
All right.
Oh,
so
656.
Problem, and we see new ones.
Exactly, some of that. So it's not, like it's an ending, yes, and it's a little bit of a cliffhanger. So it's not like, I don't know, what's one of the worst example? Halo 2. I don't know if you've played Halo 2.
Yes.
That one had that, like, it might taste a horrific cliffhanger. I was like, what? No, what the hell? So it's not like that. A satisfying
Right.
cliffhanger, if there's such a thing.
Yeah, I mean, satisfying cliffhangers are like, we finished the quest that we were set out to do in this book, and then a satisfying cliffhanger is the end of an Avengers movie where you see them beat the bad guys, some credits roll, and then Thanos is on the screen.
Right, that'll be. I hope to achieve something like that. Obviously, I think Avengers was insanely successful and well written. So I don't want to measure with them. Not yet, maybe. But yeah, hopefully something like that.
Oh, why
Let's say.
not?
All right, it's gonna be
Very
better
cool.
than Avengers.
That's the spirit.
That's the spirit. There you
No,
go.
the spirit was not better than anybody.
Oh no. Oh my goodness. I didn't I saw the announcement for that movie and I thought, okay, this sounds interesting. And I don't know, like I was in Mexico and by the time I wanted to see it, it was already gone from cinemas.
Oh,
It was a
the
very
spirit.
yeah. Was it did it
Yeah.
even get to cinemas? I th-
It's on DVD. It was in theaters, very briefly, but it's the spirit is it's a Will Eisner character. It's not like it was Superman or
right.
really a recognized character. I don't even know that the spirit had a book going at the time. So yeah, nobody. I think the same thing happened with the Phantom. The Phantom was a nice movie, but it was 40 years behind its time. The for the heyday when the Phantom was a regular comic strip in the newspapers that people were following. Uh, 1950, 1960, the Phantom would have done well in the theaters.
Yeah, yeah. It was a bit corny, that Phantom movie. I remember.
Yes,
Like
that too.
the sparks coming out of trees or something like that. I was like, what? That's a
Oh,
special choice of special effects, I guess.
he's drawing power from the jungle.
Oh, there you go. You know what? There was a cartoon. I don't know if it was the same thing, but it looked very similar. The Phantom 2040 or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, there was. There's Phantom 2040, I think was the title of it, and he also was in another cartoon, and the name of it's escaping me. I keep wanting to say Legends of Tomorrow, but it was something like that. Obviously not Legends of Tomorrow, but it was the Phantom, it was Flash Gordon, and it was Mandrake the Magician. All three teamed up. Defenders of the Earth.
I've heard, I saw that cartoon, but like eons ago. Oh wait, I'm showing my screen.
Yes, you are.
Oh, careful, careful.
Don't go pulling a Kurt Henteichenwald there.
My goodness, I wanted to see like what that cartoon was. That was a very trippy cartoon. I remember. I really really liked that. They should do
Yeah,
something
well,
like that, maybe.
I like the whole conceit of the Phantom was that it's not the same guy. It's like eventually it was the Phantom was Black Panther before Black Panther, because it was always like I am the Phantom, and when I die my son is going to become the Phantom, and when he dies his son will become the Phantom.
Yeah,
It's a
no,
passed on role.
it was a good idea. No, some sort of immortality, but it's the same character. No, it was I
I
the
love
idea. Like
legacy characters. Yeah, nope, nobody knows that it's the son of the original of the original of the original.
right,
So as far as the bad guys is like the Phantom's still around here and he's
it's
been fighting
immortal.
crime for
Oh my god.
230 years.
No, that's a good spiel.
But yeah, I love legacy characters like that. Like I just did a review a few minutes before we got on here for tomorrow's release of the Green Hornet, and of course the Green Hornet is a legacy character. His grandfather was the Lone Ranger, so
Okay,
oh
I
yeah,
didn't
that's
know
a
that.
yep, that is canon. The creators of the Green Hornet back in the 40s, they made sure that his identity is Britt Reed, and the Lone Ranger was Brett Reed. So he went from the Old West into the 1940s by way of two generations, which is weird. We really did do that. Um, Sometimes I think about how fast things move technologically, and what really drives it home for me is when I think about the atomic bomb blasts um, that they did Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It's like that was massive uh, military display of weaponry. And there were living Confederate Civil War soldiers alive to see it happen.
Okay. Oh, okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, that's crazy. Wow. Yeah.
They were in the Civil War and they got to see World War II. That's how far we came from one to the other, and just see that happen in our lifetime. And I'll probably be on my deathbed sometime thinking, yeah, I went from cassette tapes to
The internet. Yeah, no, I remember when the internet began, how, TV was a thing, and we had these huge boxes. Right now we have flat
Yeah.
TVs, and in the time of my father, they had no TV, so everything was radio. Like the radio was the big, huge
It
thing,
was.
and the family would get together just to listen to the radio. And there was, like only at a few hours of the day there was, any broadcast.
Yeah. And when the day was over with, they'd shut the signal down. There'd be nothing there.
There was nothing. Yeah, yeah. I remember, like waking up like 5 in the morning, turning on the TV, and there would just be static.
You had to wait for it to come on. Same here in America. 5 in the morning, it'd be static, and then there'd be like a flicker, and then the flag would be there, and they'd play the national anthem, and then they'd go right into the beginning of the news day. I've got two. They're behind the camera here on the floor. I was taking hard drives out of 2 tower systems that I've had stacked up in the corner of the basement because my laptop went kaput, and I thought, oh my God, I need a backup real quick to do the broadcasts. And my son is like, well, where did these come from? I'm like, oh, we've had them forever. And I was like, but they're not going to work. He's like, why won't they work? I'm like, well, he's like, just hook them up to the internet. I'm like, there's no cable to go to them from where we're at. And I had a wireless USB. And he's like, okay, so put that in. I'm like, you don't understand. These computers, Windows 7 did not know what wireless network was. He's like,
yeah, everything
what?
was, had to be plugged with a cable, though. No
Yeah.
cable, no connection.
And he's like, well, just tell it to use the Wi-Fi one. I'm like, it doesn't know that it exists. There were no smartphones when this machine was put together.
Oh
And
my goodness.
it blew his mind that,
Something was not
smartphones.
able to connect to the internet. No? Yeah, that's crazy. Now we have almost everything can connect to the internet. No? Yeah. Phones,
Yeah.
toys.
Well, I showed him the back of it and I said, this is the internet connection. He's like, that's too small for an Ethernet cable. I'm like, that's a phone cable. That's a modem.
Oh my goodness. I remember the weird noise it used to make,
Yeah. So he just took my phone and went upstairs like, this is too much for me. I'm gonna
Too much
go
retro.
someplace and get my phone.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Oh, no, I like this fawn character you've got in the middle of the page here.
That's
This
a
is a-
Goatman
this is a nice
bartender.
mix. This is a very interesting mix of genre types going on here because you've got the medieval and you've got the fantasy, and it looks like you've got a cowboy here.
If we go back to the wow. So the idea is that like the different nations of this Red Eyes world, they have different influences. So some of them are more like on the cowboy, influence. Some of them are more on the samurai influence. Some of them are more on the conquistador influence. And so the bad guys, the hunters, I call them, they all hail from this place that is more conquistador influenced. But people from other nations have joined them, so you have all these other influences amongst the group of the hunters. And something similar happens with the heroes. No, the heroes, they all come from this, I don't know, standard fantasy world, but people from other nations have joined them, and that's why you have the cats and the black lady who comes from the desert, and there's the samurai guy on the right bottom.
Yeah, it's very diverse, and yet it doesn't scream, look at us, we're diverse. It's
Oh,
just
no, my goodness.
nice it's a great blending of characters. It's like the classic X-Men, a very diverse cast of characters and abilities that work as a team.
Yeah, that's one thing I like. I don't. I personally, that's just me personally. I don't like it when the hero is like almost like a unbeatable Mary Sue. I think it's the
Oh yeah.
right term, where they start, like pulling out abilities and superpowers out of their asses, and it's like, oh, I wrote myself in a corner, but then the character suddenly now he can fly, or now he can shoot beams through his eyes, and now he can just snap his fingers and destroy a city or whatever. So like, it's everything much more contained. It's more about how these 9 guys complement each other. So at the beginning it's only 5,
Coming
and
up
the others will go join them, and so we see.
now, are you going to keep this in demand right up to October?
I thought so, yes, or like ending it shortly before October, before we move on to the next one. I don't know. I've seen campaigns that they keep it open for like forever, basically.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to keep printing them, I guess. But
I don't know. So I thought, probably do something like the episode 1, issue number 1, to be, as a tier on the campaign 2. So I was thinking of most likely, closing this down when it nears October, then
let
open
people
episode
get it with
2,
issue 2.
and then offering it also as an add-on tier, or as an add-on special, or whatever, something in that vein, probably.
Yeah, that makes more sense. Because
To me,
it
yes,
makes this one
right.
more special.
Also, yeah, maybe change the cover and do it something more, special. That's a good.
Oh,
Good
there
way of
you
saying.
go. Make oh, yeah, you make it available on issue number 2 as an add-on tier, but with a different cover, so that the people who bought it the first time, now they've got to have the alternate cover.
Yes. So this is some colors, some of the action pages. I was looking for the official cover, but I don't find it now. Anyway, so you have another question?
I do not, man. I'm just digging the artwork and the story idea. So I just wanted to make sure that it was not going to end too soon, so that I have time to get out there and back it myself.
Oh, okay, of course. So we actually managed to get to the 3,000, how to say, tier, and these are some of the prints that we are going to include with the physical tiers.
Okay, so that's the $3,000 stretch goal. Is that the final stretch goal, or is there another one we can try to hit?
I don't have any other stretch goals planned at the moment. So this was for me like already like mind blowing, the fact that it got to 3,000.
Now let me ask you this, because we talked about how a writer reaches a goal and that's enough to pay the artist, and it's not really making a profit. Can you really do all of this on the 3,000 that you hit, or do you really need to make more to make this a really successful process?
I would probably need to make a lot more to make this like a financially successful project, but I'm counting on I'm working at the moment. I have a job, so this is like I would say an expensive hobby, if you like, and I'm counting on
those.
Yes, exactly. So I'm counting on producing this and seeing how the response is for episode 2. So if episode 2 is like the resonance is better and bigger, and understandably more, because now people have episode 1 in their hands and they know I'm fulfilling. Depending on that, obviously it will, how do you say, that's going to be a key issue if episode 3 will ever see the light of day, if you like. So episode 2, like the art is finished, and I have to color it now. So
you're well ahead of the game.
Yeah, no, we're moving ahead. I thought, like, even if it's just for me, I'll do it. And now that the campaign is having some measure of success, I'm like, oh hell yeah, let's go on, of course.
Absolutely.
But of course, if like campaign 2 is a flop, or it's just like 70 backers, then maybe episode 3 will take some more time, and it really depends on the resonance of episode 2.
Sure. All right. Well, David, it's been a fun hour here. I'll be honest, I thought, I'm not going to have a whole lot of questions. I don't know what to do. This might be lucky to get 30 minutes out of it. And we filled the hour. So thank you very much for some excellent responses there. And this is
No,
really
thank
looking
you
like a
for the
fun
opportunity.
campaign. I'm glad to do it. When episode 2 is ready to go, be sure to, ping us up on Twitter and say, hey, remember me? Let's do it again. And we will definitely do it again.
Well, I have to say thank you very much for the opportunity to be here on your show and show my stuff. Shoot the chat, or oh my God. I
Well,
hear this
sometimes they say
expression.
sometimes they say shoot the shite, to kind of Europeanize it there. Sometimes they say shoot the breeze if it's just, the nicer way of saying it.
Right,
Shoot the
like-
bull. We
Are
shoot a
you-
lot of things in America. We love to shoot.
Yeah, I know. Oh, but are you like, do you have like some German in you?
I do not know.
Because I heard you said some words in German, so I thought,
Well, we say shoot the shit, and I know that it's like shite over in Europe, a lot of places. But I learn a little bit of every language because the destroyer travels the world. So, when I run into people at work and they say, "Hey, we got a new guy from Russia," and I'm like, "Eh, Dobry Utra," and they're like, "Ah," and they start to rattle off a bunch of stuff in Russian. I'm like, "No, that's all I got."
Hey, but that's awesome that you know this starting statement in all these languages. That's cool.
Yeah, I can say Dobry Utra, dave kopia, and that's it. It's like, "Hey, how you doing? Let's go get coffee," and then I'll learn more words.
That's awesome. I only know that da. I think it's yes, and niet is no. That's pretty much all I know. Vodka, maybe. Yes.
Most of the Russian I learned from reading X-Men. So
Okay. Ah, yeah. The one of them is with the Colossus. No, he's Russian, no?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ah, the thing is, like, I'm half Mexican, half Swiss, so I have my influences are
That's a
all
mix you
over the
don't hear
place. It's I have a like my comic influences are a little bit of Mexican, a little bit of European, a little bit of American, a little bit of manga. So it's like a mixture of a lot of things, but nothing really deep. So people start talking about X-Men, I'm like, yeah, of course I've heard about the X-Men, but it's not like I see some of the people in Comicsgate, they like know, like, in this year it was this writer and this artist, and in this year was this writer and this artist, and this is this saga and this is this story arc, and this is like, what? It sounds like Spanish to me.
You're catching it all up late.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
half Mexican, half Swiss. All I can think of is those little chocolate squares with Tabasco in them. I'm like, that's half Mexican and half Swiss. It's chocolate with hot sauce. And they're
Okay.
good. They're really good.
I don't know this. Oh my goodness, what a shame.
Yes. Yeah, they make chocolate with chili peppers in it. So I'm like, yeah, that's half chocolate. That's half Mexican and half Swiss. So look for those. They're good. You find them on eBay or something. David, it's been a pleasure. We're going to
Likewise, thank you very much.
I hope the campaign has tremendous success, and I hope we've been able to help out a little bit in our own way. Grateful to the people in the chat for coming here, and here's our outgoing message to thank you.
Hi, thanks for stopping by for another Critical Blast video. The internet is a big place, and we know there are lots of other places you could be other than here, and we appreciate you being here immensely. If you enjoyed this kind of content, we hope you'll return for more. If you click the subscribe button, you'll get a little notification of when we produce new video content. If you would like to help the channel out, there are many ways to do so. Just visiting our main hub, criticalblast.com, will do wonders. But if you're more of a show me the merchandise type of person, there are links in the description of this video to our t-shirt shop, as well as links to Amazon for the books we publish under the Critical Blast Publishing imprint, including the urban fantasy anthology Gods and Services and the YA superhero novel Bulletproof by Stephen J. Mitchell. Thanks again for visiting this video. We hope you had a blast.